Well, hello and welcome to my channel, Made at Home with Rebecca. Tonight we're going to be making homemade tacos, and I thought it would be nice to make homemade corn tortillas. I like to use Maseca corn flour. The recipe is really easy. You can find it on the back of the bag. I like to modify it and add some kosher salt, but you are welcome to leave it as is and it'll come out just as great. So we are going to add 2 cups of Maseca corn flour. I'm going to add about 1.5 pinches of kosher salt. And to that, we're going to add about 1.5 cups of water. As you're adding your water and you begin to stir your mixture together, you're going to notice whether or not your dough is wet enough and it begins to form a ball. If it's a little bit on the dry side, don't be afraid to add a little bit more water, but you're going to want to add it a little bit at a time so it doesn't become liquidy. Now, if it does become too runny, don't worry, just add a little bit more flour. It's actually very forgiving. At this point, I'm going to begin to use my hand and knead that dough together until it forms a nice ball. Now at this point, we're going to take the ball and we're going to divide it up as evenly as possible. There's really no right or wrong way to do this. I like to cut it in half and then in half again, and then I like to do it in quarters. So we're going to have about 8 equal pieces, and then from those 8 equal pieces, we're going to cut those in half. So we're going to have about 16 tortillas. Now you can make them as big or as small as you like. It's totally up to you. In my recipe, my tacos are more of the shape of a street taco, so that should give you an idea of how big they are. From those pieces, we're going to begin to roll those into individual little round balls. Now, working in the kitchen, we're not trying to be perfect, but as you begin to shape those into small balls, you're going to notice that some of them may be slightly a little bit bigger, and that's okay. You'll start to see that I'll pinch some of the dough off and I'll add it to others. The idea here is just to try to get them as even as possible to each other, but if not, it's okay. So we're going to continue to make these into balls until we're all finished. So let's speed up this process. Now I'm ready for my tortilla press. I like to line it with plastic wrap. You can use parchment paper, but I find that the plastic wrap is easier to remove the tortillas from. I'm going to heat my griddle to about 350 degrees. If you have a skillet, you can also use that on your stove on medium to high heat. That would work just as well. Now, when I'm pressing these tortillas, you'll notice that I'll give them at least 2 presses. Because the tortillas aren't very thick, I feel that helps them flatten out a little bit more. You can even rotate them. There's really no right or wrong way to do this. These are cooking up real nicely, and so when I begin to toss these over onto the other side, I give them about 30 seconds to cook on each side. I do use my metal tongs, but then I realized I might scratch my griddle, so I'll later on switch it out for my silicone tongs, and then sometimes I'll even use my hands, but I don't recommend that. You could burn yourself. It's just something I'm used to doing. So again, I'm not advising you use your hands in this video at all. If you have some type of silicone spatula or a silicone tong, please use that instead. This first batch is ready, so I have a container that I've lined with a paper towel. That's going to help the heat and for them to stay moist from the steam, and I'll place them in there. But if you have a container and you line it with a dish towel or a tortilla warmer, something like that, that'll work as well. Now I fast forward this video, I ended up cooking all 19 tortillas, and I'm gonna start to build my taco. I made some hamburger meat, I added sour cream, some cheddar cheese, some lettuce, tomato, but you can add whatever you like in your tacos. And if you have any other leftover tortillas from your dinner, you can store them in a gallon Ziploc. Put them in your refrigerator. When you're ready to use them, you can warm them up on the stove or in the microwave, and you can use them for another dinner. These tacos came out so good. I think it was because of the homemade tortilla. Really, there's nothing special about any of the other ingredients, but when you're eating it on something that is homemade, like a corn tortilla, it just makes it that much better. I wish you guys could taste it. The tortilla was soft and warm. And we're gonna have leftovers of this for the next night. So if you are wanting to make something that you've never tried before, I highly recommend you making this easy recipe for homemade corn tortillas. And you can make quesadillas out of it. You can make whatever you like. If you don't want hamburger meat, you can also use turkey meat. You can use shredded chicken. I mean, there's so many different possibilities. The main thing is that you have fun in the kitchen creating, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Thank you for watching. Please like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe.